Welcome to the Development Success Series. In this call, I'm talking to Josh Eppel, who's a specialist at doing CRO optimization for different clients. Hi, Josh.
Hey, how's it going, Ryan?
It's going good. So, Josh, can you tell us a little bit about what you do for clients in regards to CRO?
Yeah, sure. Over at one of my companies, Startup Slang, I've been CRO specialist for about 5 years. I was doing a CRO for marketing before that. And Startup Slang is our company based out of Toronto. And yeah, that's pretty much the background. A lot of A/B testing for e-commerce, some coaching funnels. We're doing a lot of Web3 right now, crypto projects, larger brands that want to get in to maybe doing a metaverse deployment or something like that. Ask away.
So, for most of my viewers, like when people talk about CRO, it's very confusing. It's like, oh, this very big, fancy term. Right? So, like, if you could
Yeah.
break it down into its very basic building blocks, what is CRO and like, how is it used? And like you also mentioned A/B testing.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, CRO stands for conversion rate optimization. Basically, optimizing the amount of people who are visiting a page that actually end up becoming a paying customer. It's kind of like that old principle, you're only able to spend what you keep. It's not about getting how many people you get to the page, it's about how much money you actually get from the people that get to the page. Tons of pages that get tons of traffic and go nowhere. So it is a type of optimization. And I always tell people, don't try to squeeze water out of a stone. There
Yeah.
are a couple of things to take into consideration because CRO is this big, vague field. The first thing people usually learn about is A/B testing. I'm going to make an A version of a page and a B version of a page. And then I'm going to send half of my traffic to A and half my traffic to B and see which one converts better. So that's what they dream of. But the reality is, in order to do that, you need a high volume of traffic to get a statistically significant result. And if you do the same test a couple months later, you may actually find that the other one wins.
Yeah.
So it's not a perfect science. It's not saying you shouldn't test the A versus B, but a few things people don't know about CRO is that the place to start may not be directly, okay, I'm going to make two different designs of a page. The number one thing for CRO, the first question I always ask everybody is, where's the traffic from? Is this social traffic that knows you and likes you? Is it cold traffic that's never heard of you before? Is it traffic that just came off a Google search looking to buy exactly what you're selling? Because each of these is going to have a different average conversion rate in market that we can benchmark ourselves against. And it's going to have very different consumer behavior as they scroll your page. So that's the first thing. And you don't do anything, we don't do any kind of CRO until we know where the traffic's from and is the page already optimized for that type of traffic? Is the website optimized for that type of traffic? So your website's your sales guide, so it needs to do a good job talking to who's walking in the front door. Second thing to think about is retention. So if you're getting sales already, have you already maximized the value from each sale? Have you on the back end, are you doing email marketing sufficiently? Are you doing SMS marketing? Are you offering bundles, promotions, cross sells, upsells? All of these ways to maximize what we call retention of the customer base, allowing the ones who already like you to buy as much as possible. You might be able to double your revenue from making tests or CRO adjustments further down the funnel. You might be able to double revenue doing that as opposed to trying to change headlines on your product display page and trying to get double the people to convert, which is very unlikely.
Oh, okay.
So that's the second thing. And then finally, the third thing is, yeah, good old fashioned A/B testing. A lot of people don't have the money to do like micro A/B testing month to month, or if they don't want to work with a specialist who's going to be constantly changing things. So what I recommend to start is just doing a overhaul of your PDP. So just having a professional come in who knows CRO principles, who knows what works in your industry already, makes a ton of changes, makes a new version, and then you test the two against each other. You might as well do a complete rework A and B to start, because there's all kinds of stuff that CRO professionals like myself already know is going to work, is probably going to work. You might as well throw everything at the wall to start, see if you get a nice bump. And then after that, we optimize, because optimization just gives you a little bit more, a little bit less points here and there. So we want to go after the biggest wins first, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I get the different ways you can do it. So can you give a result that you've given a client so people have an idea of like how big of an impact it can be for their business?
Oh yeah, it can be huge. We had a page that was a regular product display page on Shopify selling fermenting equipment, people that make their own pickles. It was a special lid. And the regular product display page was converting. The traffic was from a fairly sophisticated YouTube content marketing effort. And they were doing about 1.5. So what we did was took that page
1.5%
and
or
yes, 1.5% of the traffic was converted. Yeah. By the way, for e-commerce, very good. Like 1% is industry average of a successful store for conversion rate of a PDP. So what we did was we added a bunch of sections below on that page so that people could watch a YouTube video of someone using it, an infomercial for the product, a bit more testimonials, a bit more explanation of materials, like why this is good. Then that gave a nice boost. Like that was like a 70% boost. When I say 70%, adding 70% more conversion on top of 1 point. And then the next thing we did was we actually added after checkout upsells with a special technology for the Shopify ecosystem. And basically we just said, hey, you're buying one lid, buy 2 lids. Tons of people took that offer. Of course, anybody doing canning or pickling probably wants to have a few jars going at once. So that pretty much doubled the sales again.
Wow. So just these small changes, you've essentially doubled the revenue.
It's essentially like almost quadrupling the revenue, right? And that can make the difference between a business being able to pay its bills at the end of the day and it being just a dead dream, right? Because you pay a lot for marketing, especially people who are doing paid Facebook ads. If your LTV doubles, it can mean the difference between you're selling this business in a year, right, for a couple $1 million, or next month you're winding things down because you're spending more than you make and you can't afford to pay your employees and just back to the drawing board.
Makes sense. Can you explain the word LTV? So not everyone may know that term.
Oh yeah, of course, lifetime value. So the amount an
Okay.
average customer would pay you over the course of interacting with your brand.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So what's an example of a horror story of CRO going completely wrong?
Going completely wrong.
I like you made changes and they actually make less money overall.
Okay. Yeah. So usually it's when things aren't done as a test, right? So if you're doing A/B tests, if you have a CRO person remake your page and you're testing traffic between the two, it's unlikely that it's going to go horribly wrong. I have seen people who are redesigning their website and they are not budgeting for, let's say, someone to redo it who has a lot of experience rebranding for enterprise level stores. So the branding quality suffers. So basically they've worked with someone who, yes, was less affordable and yes, modernized the design, but the audience was used to the old design and it was easier to find things in the catalog with that design. And so the old design had a higher conversion rate, even though it wasn't as fancy or shiny. And they just upgraded the website to a brand new one with everything bubbly, the newer styles, even video backgrounds. It looked way more sophisticated and conversion fell in half because
Wow.
it was less clear. And they put a lot of money into the new design, but the new designer was not like a UX expert, and they didn't go with any kind of company that knew like what these warehouse type websites function like, so industry specific expertise. And yeah, the redesign was just a disaster, probably about $12,000 down the hole, not to mention all the customers they lost and the conversions they lost in the upgrade, and eventually they had to roll everything back to the old one, which looks like a site from 2003, but converts at like 6% or something crazy like that.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's just very important to talk to someone like you that actually knows what they're doing. Like otherwise it can actually hurt you more than.
Oh yeah, anyone who knows what they're doing for sure. And it's also important to consider those things I said first, right? Where's the traffic from? Can you do more with customer retention first before making any major design changes? Are these design changes just tiny tweaks and we're trying to squeeze water out of the same stone? These are all fundamental questions that will influence what you go after, like the order in which you do things to get to decrease time to value, minimize time to value.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. So Josh, if people want to get in contact with you and maybe talk more about this, where should they go to?
Yeah, for anything CRO related, I can be reached at josh@startupslang.com. You can put that wherever. It's startupslang, all one word.com. And that's my company where we do conversion rate optimization for e-commerce, Web3, all that good stuff. So
Cool. All right, thanks.
For more information on how to put technology to work in your business, please subscribe to this channel.